Going on, collectors, Optical 20 here for another Hot Toys video review. This time it's from the movie Iron Man 2 Whiplash Mark II, the die-cast version. You know what, I'm kind of late to the party, but it's okay. You know, I was waiting for a good deal on this one. It never really happened, so I just jumped on the first opportunity that I got. I thought I was gonna have a good sale on like Christmas last year or Spectacular, but it didn't really. I guess it's not as bad as I thought it was doing sales-wise, but you know, nonetheless, I was happy to pick them up. The box, we'll start off with the box. It's one of those regular die-cast figures that Hot Toys does have. It's kind of cool, you know. I always like that design of the die-cast series, and I think it's pretty cool because it does protect the figure itself. I'm moving downwards here. You can see the warning, choking hazard. This one does not come with a lot of accessories. Actually, it doesn't come with any accessories at all. But it does come with some whips and all that stuff. But that's pretty much about it. So you can see Whiplash Mark II right there. And as far as the box, you know the drill. You just take this out, the styrofoam right there. And the manual is on top, Whiplash Mark II. You know, this black part right here kind of connects the two part. I'm going to take this out. That's made out of styrofoam. I'm not even going to open it because it does not have the figure anymore. The figure is quite heavy, so, you know, got to be careful on handling them. And because it's not like one of those sturdy boxes, so just be careful. And as far as accessories, although it does not come with a lot, you know, it comes with this. I always like this design or this accessories. So, if I might say. We have this with Thor, now with him, and also I saw that with what's her name, Scarlet Witch. So I think it adds a pretty cool dynamic to the figure, and also Electro has that effect as well. As you can see, his whips, you know, made out of this pretty cool looking, I don't know, like tubings or translucent stuff. It's quite nice. It does not emit any light whatsoever. You've probably seen a bunch of reviews. You can have some this lights. I don't know what they're called, but it does produce some lights. But as far as the figure itself, it does light up on the very edge of his hands, but it's not enough to light up this entire whip, so to speak. It does not. And as far as more accessories, he's one of the chest plate. Kind of battle damage, as you can see. There's chip and there's some bullet holes in his chest, and that part right there is kind of sharp. This one is made out of plastic. The original one is made out of die-cast metal, and this one's being held by those two magnetic plates right there. So you can see that's some pretty cool paint apps right there. It does look like it's kind of has this rotten look, battle damage, although the entire figure looks like battle damage itself, but it's still pretty cool to have that kind of piece. And also the head sculpt, and the biggest accessory of them all, the base, which is pretty cool in my opinion. It goes quite well with the upcoming diecast War Machine Mark 1. As you can see, some hammer droids, some of their pieces, and I'm not sure, but I heard some rumors that hammer droids are coming out from Hot Toys as well, and that's pretty cool. Mechs, for those who likes Iron Man and all that stuff, that's, you know, that's pretty cool that you can add more villains, because we know, you know, Iron Man needs villains right now. He only has Mandarin and Monger, who, you know, a lot of people missed if you're just collecting recently, and he's quite expensive, kind of like this guy. He retails at what, almost $400, $420 with shipping. But as you can see now, we're jumping to the figure itself. It is quite impressive. You see the piston; those are actually working pistons, as you can see from that's his knees. The level of detail is amazing on this figure. The paint apps, the attention to detail, every little tiny things. And I know he's not the most popular character or villain for that matter, but as a collector and, you know, as a fan of this meticulous collection, he is outstanding. All this level of detail is just amazing. Look at that, from his chest plate all the way to the paint apps, all scratched up. And the entire figure itself is not in pristine, but you know, he's not shiny or anything. One thing I would like to see maybe was more hands, because all the accessories that that I showed earlier, that's pretty much it. It does come with a battle damage chest plate, as you can see here. You can just pop it off. That's a good thing. I hope they continue doing that. In their upcoming diecast line is this magnetized thingy. It is pretty cool because you don't risk the fear of breaking that little peg inside. And as you can see, it also does light up, kind of like one of those, you know, just a regular Iron Man. It's quite bright, but every little details on this piece is amazing. Those skirt are die cast. It goes up and down as well. The pistons on the leg, we're only at his legs right now as well. You know, he's bulky, he's huge. Some pistons on his leg. Just an amazing figure altogether. What a work of art. You know, it's the engineering is great. These two things goes down, and he is he's not really tall. He is taller than regular figures, but his bulk, he is just massive. And also these are articulated. The one on his feet, you can deploy. This one has like a little spiky thingy, and it does I guess that's from on the movie, so he doesn't move around or anything, more for stabilizing the figure. And also in you know, for practical use, if you put them down, I would say the figure is more stabilized. And you can see the finger. He has some kind of like cannon on his arms. Pretty cool. Moving up, all this bits and pieces, these pistons. I don't even know how to describe them sometimes, but it just looks cool. You know, it's a lot cooler in person once you have it in your hand. The weight and everything is just phenomenal on this figure. You know, I can't say enough. On the back part, I think I already took out. There's some back panels there, so you can see the switches. And I've seen reviews, especially from Xenomorph, that he broke one of his switches. And I'm hearing, you know, some multiple reports that that's indeed the case. I'm just lucky enough that I didn't get one. You know, like you see in the shoulder, it moves up and down. And that's why I'm a bit conflicted when I was about to buy the figure, because I've been hearing reports that, you know, it does break and all that stuff. But if you do buy them at Sideshow, you are pretty much guaranteed for, I believe, 30 days that you can exchange it if something happens. So I would inspect it right away. That's the cover, if you want to. And you know, those are movable parts. Look at the back panel right here. It's kind of, it's reminiscent of Igor from Iron Man 3, the big guy. You know, I was always impressed with his detail. And the same goes with this guy, and those pistons are actually working on his back. So whenever you move the figure around, I'm kind of scared to move him around because of all this moving parts, but they don't feel cheap. They don't feel like you're gonna break them. I've had figures where it feels cheap and delicate, where you don't even want to move them around because you're scared that you're gonna break something. And fortunately, that's not the case on this figure. He's quite articulated for his size, which is, I'm really impressed. You know, his knees are in ratchet joints. I believe his legs are not, but you can pull them down. And also his waist has that extended feature, although it's not by much, but you can have a good range of motion on his waist as well. But you can see this back panel right here. It's just beautiful. See all those moving parts. And also when you turn on the lights, you're gonna see from the back part that the thrusters, I don't know how you call that, but it does light up as well. Kind of reminds me of Falcon. That's pretty cool. And also, whenever you turn on the lights on the back, I know one of them is for the his chest repulsor, not repulsor, but his chest light up thingy, and or arc reactor, if you want to call it. I think that's what it's called, arc reactor. And the one on the side of his neck lights up as well. See from his shoulders, he's quite big, but like I said, you know, the articulation is quite well for how big he is. I was surprised, because you would think a figure this size and this, you know, massive, with his also being die cast, you would think that he's a bit more stiff, like statuesque, but not really. You know, you can. I mean, obviously you're not gonna be able to do some funny poses like with Spider-Man and all that stuff. But there, I just demonstrated to you how to insert the whip. So you just insert it like so. You can turn on the lights on the other side of his forearm, but you know, unfortunately, it just doesn't do the job. I like the effort, but not quite there. If you watch Danobi's reviews, and he made some what do you call this, custom whips for his Whiplash Mark 1. That's a while back. Yeah, I mean, it'll give you an idea. If you really wanted to do the light up whip feature, then you're gonna buy those lights. I'm not gonna do so, but you know, just an option. And also, he comes with 2 head sculpt as usual. This is the light up one, which is pretty bright. I do like the design of his helmet, and it's quite bright, as you can see there. Unfortunately, it only comes with 1 faceplate. I hope I was hoping they should come with 2, one more battle damage than this one, perhaps a more scratched one. I don't know, kind of like War Machine Mark 1 diecast, where it does come with a second faceplate. The paint apps looks good, not the best. You know, I know he's scratched up and everything. But the metal looks like more camo than scratched up. You know, the white one is a good reminiscent of scratched up. Maybe the darker ones, the grayer patches out there, I don't know if they're supposed to replicate rust or just metal damage altogether, but you know, I don't know. I got mixed feelings about this one. I think the paint app is still pretty good, but I guess it could have been better. The one on his chest plate, the battle damage one, where it's kind of rusty and all that stuff, that's perfect. And this is what I'm talking about when they included 1 faceplate, because you gotta just interchange them, which is not a big deal, but for his price, $400, I think they could have included 1 more, and they could have created a better head sculpt. Although I do see Mickey Rourke in this one. I'm pretty sure it's the same sculpt as the Whiplash Mark 1, which is not exactly a good thing, because I mean, you can see him in there, but it's not 100%. With this day and age, with the technology that they do have, he should have a better head sculpt, and also more accurate head sculpt than this one. As illustrated once again by Danobi, he has this video, which I kind of disagree, because it's not a total fail, this particular figure. I'm actually quite impressed with this one, but he is right in terms of how the helmet was supposed to open up. It's supposed to expose his entire head, not his face, not just his face. This is not Iron Man. This is Whiplash. We're in the movie, if we want to be movie accurate here. And I understand on Hot Toys' point of view, where they want to just cut corners, I guess, and save a little bit on the cost, but it's $400. Guys, it's 1 figure, $400. So that by itself, although it is die cast, should explain a lot, where it should be closer to perfect, you know, if they want to retail it for that much. And I don't think that's asking for much. And as far as poses, as I explained earlier, he has good range of motion, but you know, as far as in the movie, you're not really gonna pose him anything dynamically. So this type of poses he's more of a big guy, like imposing, powerful. So as far as poses, you know, arms extended and all that stuff are the ones that I guess you're gonna use more often. As you can see him, he's pretty bulky. The whips are kind of getting in the way, so I'm moving them around. But yeah, I mean, I don't need to give you instruction on how to put those electricity thingies on his whips. You just kind of swirl them around and make up your own, you know, you use your imagination. But yeah, as you can see him in his full gear, everything pointed out, he looks pretty amazing. He looks massive and intimidating. It's a nice piece to have on your shelf, especially if you have Iron Man figures. I do have I don't have any War Machine, but I do have Iron Patriot. I'm planning to pick up War Machine Mark 1, the diecast. It'll nicely go along with him. And if I don't have the Mark, I believe it's Mark 6 that he used on the Iron Man 2 film. which is pretty cool. So for now, Mark 3 would work. You know, I try to make him battle damage, just take off his chest plate. But as you know, the limitations of this figure, you can't really turn or anything with his waist. Still a pretty cool looking figure though, don't get me wrong, but you know, you gotta know its limitations. But yeah, I chose this pose where he kind of just whips both of them with his electricity. And as you can see there, I think I removed one of them from the top portion of the whip. And it looks still okay, you know. And as far as size comparison, height-wise, it's not a good indication because he's kind of slanting. But yeah, you can see he's a bit taller, just a little bit, with Mark 3. I know Mark 3 is not the tallest figure anyway. So, but you know, he's the closest one. I have Mark 43, but I didn't want to use that as comparison. I don't think it's well, visually at least, it doesn't look good. But yeah, as you can see, Mark 3 is kind of like looking up to Whiplash right here. But you can see the height is not that big of a difference. But look at their legs. That's one massive legs right there. All that mass and width. It's a good looking figure. You know, what can I tell you? He's pretty heavy too. I'm not sure which parts are die cast. I think it's the legs. You know, you kind of do the cold test. You touch something, and it has more die cast than RoboCop, I would say. Just by holding them, you know, you can feel that he's more of a metal than plastic. I'm not sure which part. I know legs for sure. Luckily, I never had any problems with him. But yeah, you look at him. It looks nice with them together, even though it's not really screen accurate. But yeah, I'm not a big Iron Man fan or a collector, but you can't help but marvel. You know, I mean, you don't blame now Hot Toys for making so much Iron Man. They look, especially if they come up with a unique character like Whiplash, although not really that cool on screen, but he turned out pretty cool on figure. And that's pretty much it. As you can see there, Whiplash Mark II, the diecast. Now, if you're a big fan of Iron Man, it's a no-brainer. You gotta pick this guy up. Although he is a bit expensive. If he didn't go down on Spook, that's pretty much it. I think he went down by 10% or something like that. But that's pretty much what you're getting, I think. He's nice to have. You know, Iron Man only has a handful of villains, and he's one of the pretty cool ones. I hope they do make the hammer drones, because it would be a nice compliment to him, or Iron Man for that matter. You can have him posed next to Ultron, and you can make a whole lot of mechs. But him by himself is already an imposing figure in your shelf, so I would say he's a must-have. I'm not a big Iron Man fan, but I would still say he's a must-have for any Hot Toys collector. Just, you know, for that fact. You know, I know a friend of mine is gonna buy Armored Batman, and he doesn't even like those series, but because he just looks cool, and he falls into those one of those categories. And I know the price is a little bit high for $400. Hopefully he goes on sale for $350. I think $350 is kind of like the norm now for diecast anyway, so if you can pick him up for that price, you know, why not? I mean, he's a pretty cool figure. So thank you for watching, and please click like or subscribe. Until next time.